All right, and we're live. It is 7:30, and of course, everybody knows what time it is. It's time for the latest and greatest tech talk on Wednesday night with Unhinged Tech, me, Tech Odyssey, and English Dan Reviews, who's not wearing Calvin Klein or a Credit Karma hat tonight. You went with Adidas. I see that today.
I wear Adidas most of the time.
I like Adidas. It's a good brand.
What's the blank look for? I do. Yeah, me too.
Like normally, if I go out and buy athletic wear, I mean, I'm not athletic, but I'm a husky person, so I like to wear athletic wear.
There you go. You see, I'm not athletic, but I like the way, when my fat butt walks down the street, I need something in my heels to be protected, so they don't crack on the concrete. So it's that.
Yeah. So I like Adidas. The black shorts with the 3 white stripes on the side. I don't usually wear Adidas shoes though. I'm not big on their shoes, but I like their athletic clothes.
Yeah, but you're into these weird colored Jordans, so.
Not weird colored Jordans. I got gray ones. I got black ones. I got red ones.
What's wrong with that?
Yes.
They're actually LuLaRoe, okay, and they're thigh pants, skin tight thigh pants.
Hey, maybe your wife can get you some of those. What are those called? Those jegging pants. You can get some of those to wear.
Is your mouth a thought?
I can't hear what you're saying. It keeps cutting out. You'll be here for like 20 seconds, and then it cuts out for like 10 seconds, and then
you'll be here. It's probably this great gaming laptop that you own that's just actually not all that great.
You must have a slightly different model than mine because mine doesn't have the camera on it. But it's driving me.
Neither does mine.
Oh, okay. You just plugged it on there. Yeah, here we go.
Are you lagging as well?
Harmless Carl here, trying to sell people some ice cream with his new Tesla ice cream truck.
Yeah. Yeah. Free candy, people. Free candy.
Yeah, so I don't know what the deal is with the internet connection tonight. I don't know if it's mine or if it's yours. I'm assuming it's probably yours.
Why? I'm on 400 meg. What are
I'm
you
on 1,000.
You just said you're on a 5G network.
Yeah, well, 5 gigahertz wireless network.
No. Well, I'll leave.
Well, hopefully it'll get better at some point.
Should I leave and come back?
Huh?
It did seem to lag for a bit.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I was hoping that it would get better, but see, the thing is, it just keeps doing it here every couple of minutes, and it's not like the entire time. So I don't know.
Weird.
So hopefully the internet will get on our side, and eventually we'll get there. And fortunately, I do enough talking for both of us, so whenever he frees it up, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Yes.
So hopefully everyone's having a good night tonight. Here we are at Wednesday. We're on a lot of exciting things going on. So apparently all the leaks came out for like basically everything Apple's going to make for the rest of the year with all the iPhone 12 device stuff. And I don't know what he's doing, but it's a significant upgrade seeing the source select here on the screen as opposed to having to look at his face. I don't know.
Don't know. Couldn't tell you. Maybe it's this Logitech software it had me install on the Windows laptop.
Yeah, maybe so.
Here. Couldn't tell you.
It's utterly horrible.
Is it really? Is it lagging that bad?
Yeah, like you'll be talking and then you freeze for like 10 seconds and then it picks back up and it's fine for like 15 seconds and then you freeze and then you lag for like 10 seconds.
Well, why don't you use some of that hot air that you blow out quite often? I'll just go and restart my laptop very quickly. See if it...
I didn't catch any of that, so I'm really happy. But you go ahead and restart, and we'll see you in a minute.
Bye.
So Dan is going to see if he can get his computer to restart and get back going. But yeah, apparently he broke the internet, or the internet I don't know. Maybe he tried to pay for his internet bill with his fried chicken stamp receipts for his frequent flyer card. I don't know. But one way or the other, we're going to continue with this until he gets back. Yes, Dan. For those of you who watch the show, you'll get this, but Dan got chicken grease in his router. That's a very good one, Drew. So, yeah, I'll wait for he gets back before I get too much into the crazy stuff. But we have the new iPhone 12 stuff that was leaked by. I think it's funny now because John Prosser, of course, has been leaking everything for a while now. But now so many different sources are like, oh, the infamous leaker, John Prosser. So lots of interesting things coming along. But it says, report by John Prosser spilled tons of details. So I guess there's going to be like 4 different models that are going to be coming out now. So the 12, the 12 Max, the 12 Pro, and the 12 Pro Max. I guess they're finally going to distinguish some of that stuff. But it looks like it's going to be a nice variety of prices, with the lowest model being like a 5.4 inch and the largest model being a 6.7 inch. So I think it's pretty cool. Hey, Grant, welcome aboard. Sea Lions Man, Drew, Gary, all the great regular guys that come in here on Wednesday night to listen to us talk. So lots of cool things going on with that. And I can't say a whole lot, but expect some new TCL information and videos to pop up in the very near future. Not today, but finally going to get to talk some more about the TCL 10 Pro. See if I have mine on me right now. I was in the living room shooting some footage on it earlier. Oh, Dan's back.
See if that's any better. Don't know.
Okay, well, he's back. We'll see how long it lasts. But yeah, I was just telling these ladies and gentlemen here that expect some more TCL information soon. So TCL 10 Pro, you've probably seen all the pictures that everybody's been taking, all the hubbub and the buzz that's been going on, especially in the Twitter world for the last week, because we just got these a couple of days ago. So basically, it's really weird because I can't talk about it a whole lot right now, but I can talk about the process a little bit. Normally, whenever you get a device that's pre-embargo, you just can't say anything until the embargo date is lifted. But they did go ahead and send these out and said you can do a showcase, do some limited, unboxing, first impression stuff, but don't really get into the weeds about it until the full embargo date, which I can't discuss that. But I will say, expect stuff soon, and it's really cool. I've been enjoying it so far.
I love this phone.
Yeah, Dan's going to go to Nevada so he can actually get a second marriage, and he's going to marry the TCL 10 Pro.
I love it. I was going to say is I love that phone. It's got a couple of quirky issues, but it's on pre-production software, so benefit on the doubt with that. Maybe they'll fix it because there's a patch coming out or a new firmware update coming out towards the end of the month.
Yeah, they said there's going to be an MR release that's going to be towards the end of the month, which everything about the phone is fully functional. It's not to say it's not like they put out a product and there are certain things that don't work. The phone is fully functional. It's great. I've been using it for like the last several days now. I have my SIM card in it, no problems. But as Dan alludes to, yes, 1 or 2 little quirky things that seem like they could tighten it up a little bit with this maintenance update. And I think if the date were pushed back a little bit further, we would get that launch update. But since we're getting it before y'all, whenever you see these other videos, I'm sure people will address some of those things and say, hey, we'll talk about this later on.
Drew Lips, just quickly pointing onto that, touching that, he reminds me a lot of a OnePlus 6T with a lot better rear camera.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I've seen a couple people mention this, and even a tweet or a reply from Painfully Honest Tech, because he has both of them, was talking about how they feel very OnePlus-ish, OnePlus-ish. In the spirit of OnePlus. Not so much they're emulating them, but they're coming onto the scene, great pricing. They're giving you like 90% of the normal flagship experience in most ways, but they're not charging you $700, $800, $900, $1,000 for it. There are very few phones. There are very few phones that I look at and I go out and I buy and I say, I feel like I got a great deal, especially in the year 2020. Like the iPhone SE, as much as people bag on it, totally worth every penny. It is. You can't dispute that. An iPhone 11, totally worth every penny. Very good value price for what you get. And then the TCL 10 Pro or the TCL 10L, totally worth it for the price. So that's one of the things, and that's an argument that I make whenever I talk about things like the Ultra. I think the Ultra is a good phone, but I think it's a sham for $1,399. It should have not been any more than maybe $1,000 or $1,100 max. So I don't think it's a good deal. I feel like I've been gypped with that phone.
No, it's not 5G. They're bringing out a 5G version of the L later on in the year.
Yeah, so the 5G is supposed to come out later in the year. Right now, it's the TCL 10L, which is the light version, and then also we have the Pro version. So it's a total of 3 different devices.
One other little thing I'm going to say about this is, like I said, it reminds me of the OnePlus 6T. Obviously, I can't say too much about it, but that strip of cameras on the back there blow the cameras away on the OnePlus 6T. The back cameras. They are very, very capable.
And they've got some really nice color saturation, too.
They can be they remind me a bit of the old Samsung photos where they boost out the colors, like some real bright greens and things like that. But I quite like that. I've always liked that vivid look instead of the more natural flat look. I like the pop. So,
and that's how I've been. And I was talking to Dan before we got on the show here. Wrapping up some stuff on my review so I can get everything kind of compiled together. I got some editing to do after the show, but the color saturation is there, but it's a really complementary color saturation. Like most people think of it this way, like Apple is very non-color saturated on one end, and Samsung is on the far extreme in the color saturation department. And then so LG is kind of in the middle. They have a very natural look. And I would say that the color saturation on this is kind of in between LG and Samsung, leaning a little bit more to the contrasty side with the color saturation. But the greens and the blues, they really pop. They look good.
Yeah, I like it. I think I took some pictures of the wife in the backyard before, and it really does. The HDR works really well on it when it comes to the back cameras. It really does. I'm pretty impressed with the back camera. So impressed, people, that I sold my Pixel.
He did sell his Pixel. Of course, he also sold his $1,700 Netflix machine too.
Yes, that was the best thing I've done, though. I mean, come on. I got a gaming laptop out of it, and I'm thinking of getting a Surface Pro X, maybe. Or maybe just get a MacBook Air, the new MacBook Air, and call it quits.
I'm actually kind of impressed with the new MacBook Airs because they look to me on paper like the lower-end MacBook Pros, I think, are a ripoff to me.
Forget it. You may as well go with the MacBook Air.
Yeah, but the MacBook Air, you're going to get such similar performance, but like $300 or $400 less. They're so well priced.
Yep.
Do the new MacBook Airs? Do they have the Magic Keyboard though? I don't know.
Yeah, they've got the new keyboard. The new version has a new keyboard, and
that's supposed to be. I've heard that keyboard is magical, for lack of better words.
Good Joe. You didn't see that before, I don't think, but
I did briefly. Yes. I saw about you leaving your remains inside of his bread box.
Yes, or anybody else's for that matter if they don't show up tonight. So
Yeah. Well, we got Mike's here, Tech 702.
Yeah.
I want to go back and address something real quick. I kind of segued and was tap dancing on the stage while you left. So before, I'm glad it's working now. Apparently the reset on your laptop.
Yeah.
Starting to talk about the iPhone 12 stuff. Have you paid attention to the leaks and the rumor stuff that's come out in like the last 24, 48 hours?
The pricing is so aggressive. Samsung are going to have a major issue with the Note if that's the case. Major.
And, it's not like Samsung doesn't have time to prepare for this. It's interesting to me because the S models always come out at the beginning of the year, but then the typically more expensive Note model comes out at the same time as the iPhones do. Well, I mean, within a few weeks of each other. And we're talking like typically August timeframe for the Note and then like September timeframe for the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a hard sell to look at the new Note model phones and potentially the higher end, the Fold, which may be the new Note device or the Note Ultra, whatever they're going to call it. I've seen some rumors on that too. But having all of that come out at the same time that the iPhone does, and you're talking about being able to get a 5.4-inch iPhone 12 for $649, that's really that's competitive. It's beyond competitive. It's like chopping the knees out from under them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you go? It was one thing before when your iPhone was like, okay, we've got the $999 iPhone, and then Samsung. Samsung was always a little less expensive because they knew that they needed to be to compete. But now we're going to have a $600 to $1,100 set of iPhones, and I would not be surprised if we see another $1,200, $1,300 Samsung product for their max size.
I agree. Let's not forget either, with the new iPhones, they're going to invent 120 hertz on the screen.
Yes. Apple, yeah. So we started off last year with the 90 hertz display with the OnePlus 7 Pro, which was today, by the way. I was looking, I got the pop-up notification today on my phone with the reminder saying, oh, this is, from a year ago. And I was like, oh, such happier times. I was in New York City at the OnePlus 7 Pro launch a year ago. So here we are a year ago. OnePlus 7 Pro brought the heat with a 90 hertz display, coming out of left field, which really was a big deal. I mean, it's gorgeous. I loved it. And then other companies have had their opportunity. So Pixel 4 brought the 90 hertz display sometimes, and you can use it for a little bit, with the battery.
75% brightness. Or did they lower it to 60? One or the other. It was something stupid.
Yeah, it was hilarious because it had to be over 80%, like 82 or 84, whatever in the world it was for it to work. And then they've lowered it some. But yeah, so the Pixel devices, and then we had an onslaught of other ones like the OnePlus 7T also brought the 90 hertz display. Samsung brought the 120 hertz display. So now we're coming full circle, and it's time for Apple to invent 120 hertz.
That's right. They will invent. You'll have never seen it before, and it will be the best available. Even though ZTE have got 144 hertz OLED out, it won't matter because Apple will have invented this, and it will be the best you can possibly get.
Yeah, we should have called this episode "Apple Invents 120 Hertz."
That's right. That's right. We can't go too much into them, Jiffer, because there's a review embargo. We can talk about few things, picture quality, things like that, but we can't go into them. The embargo for reviews is up at 9 a.m. Eastern time, so all the reviews from everybody will drop at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, tomorrow. Central Standard Time, or 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Yeah. So, tomorrow. I don't know if we were supposed to say it or not, but whatever. Yeah, tomorrow. I was alluding to that, but they didn't say we can't say this tomorrow.
I mean, why not? I mean, it's tomorrow, so whatever. It doesn't say not to say it.
So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and highlight this from Summer 2019 Technologies, Joe Hussey. It's going to have the fastest processor ever in an iPhone. And I laugh every time Tim Cook gets up there. It's the fastest processor ever in an iPhone. I think that...
Well, thanks, Tim.
Yeah, he has all of these canned phrases that he uses. And that's one of the ones that is the fastest one ever. The best waterproof ever. The biggest, the longest battery ever. They don't ever deal with specifics. They don't get up there and say this, that, X, Y, Z. It's always the biggest, the fastest, or the best.
That's the way it is.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's like I think that Tim Cook and maybe whoever writes scripts for Donald Trump went to the same place, and they're like, we're going to use these words. We're never going to use specifics. We're never going to give you facts. We're just going to
skirt around the issue and make you think, ooh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hyperbole 101.
Mm-hmm.
So it is always interesting, but I'm curious to see what they'll call it, because you've got like the Retina display, you've got ProMotion, are they going to just call it ProMotion in the iPhone?
What do they call it now in the OLED? Is it Super Retina or something like that? Super Retina display? I can't remember. They've got a name for that, but I guarantee it'll be whatever the name is now, and then you'll tag ProMotion onto the end of it.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking forward to there is, now that they've got these OLED screens that they can do. Oh, that's right, it's the XDR screens. They've got the XDR screen in it. So
XDR
ProMotion. But if now they've figured this out, am I echoing?
No.
I can hear myself. Anyway,
Well, everybody else can hear you too, unfortunately.
yeah, but I can hear me through you. Anyway, now they've done this with the iPad, with the iPhone. Are we going to get an OLED iPad? That'd be very nice.
That's pretty cool.
20 hertz ProMotion.
So, yeah, I mean, in here, Jiffer says technically it's true. It's the best ever fast. It is very true. Every time he comes out there and says that, it is a true statement. But it's just redundant, and it's funny hearing it every time. Since what Tim Cook started this, 5 years ago?
Yeah, was it 5-6 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah, every time they get up there, it's the fastest processor in an iPhone ever.
We have designed this OLED panel to be this. It's like, dude, it's a Samsung panel. Shut up. Just stop. Stop.
Aren't they not using Samsung panels this go around?
They are using Samsung panels still, yeah.
They must be paying them a premium because it was funny. It used to be funny back in the day because Samsung and Apple sued each other so many times, and then like Qualcomm sued Apple, Apple sued Qualcomm. Apple sued everyone, and Samsung sued half of everyone. A lot during the early days of the smartphones, all the way up, and it kind of slowed down, I guess, after like the S5 and S6 models. I haven't heard much about it in the last few years, but all the time they were suing each other for something stupid.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons
still going on as well. They're still not settled on that. From the Galaxy S2 was meant to be an iPhone copy. They're still not settled on that. It's $1 billion lawsuit.
Man, well, it's like 20. That's like 20 cents to them. I mean, $1 billion to Apple is like me spending $4 on a coffee at Starbucks. Which good luck trying to get a decent $4 coffee at Starbucks. Try to
get a decent coffee at Starbucks.
It's gross, man.
Overrated, yeah.
All of their coffee tastes burnt. Like their regular drinking coffee.
I say exactly the same.
Their regular coffee is disgusting.
Yes, I'm with you. Tastes like burnt coffee.
All right. So if I actually are to go out and buy a cup of coffee, I prefer to go to McDonald's, actually. McDonald's, actually, their McCafe, just a regular cup of coffee for like $1.50 is actually, it's good.
Burger King's as well. They use Seattle's, whatever it's called. It's good.
Best.
Yeah, it's good.
I love Seattle's best.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
On a totally different tangent.
Dave says here he thinks they're switching back to LG. I don't know. I honestly haven't kept up too much with the panels that they use. I know that they were using some Samsung stuff. I know one of the big ones that used LG panels was Google with like the Pixel 2. They use the LG panel. I think
OLED, plastic OLED panel.
Yeah, the blue lightning hue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you got one that had the bad one in it, it would have like a bluish tint to it.
Yeah, it was crap.
It's funny how forgiving or how quickly we forget about some of these fiascos. I remember when like the OnePlus, not the OnePlus, the iPhone 6 Plus came out, and it was prone to bend because it was so large, and it was the first time they'd made one that large. So for those people who carry these things around in their back pockets and sit down on them all the time, they were prone over time to slightly warp. You would get a slight bend to them. Or what was the other thing with the bend gate recently? Was it the iPad that there was?
The iPad, one I've got.
Yeah, the iPad Pro. And I'm like, who's going to bend this thing?
It's going to. Who is going to grab hold of their iPad and go, you know what? I'm just going to try and crush it. Of course, it's going to bend. I mean, really, that was like the most clickbaity, stupid. I like Zach on his jerry rigs, but that was just like, come on, dude.
That's what he does, though.
Yeah, but that was like, come on, really? Really? No. Any tablet you buy that's made of metal and is that thin and it has antenna lines in it, it's going to bend. There's going to be a weak spot, whether it's the volume, anything like that. It don't matter. If you want to bend it, you can bend it in half.
Yeah, we're in an age where we're in a world where they're trying to make these things, lighter and thinner. So by proxy, the things that you get are more fragile, more prone to bending.
Absolutely.
Things like that.
Look at that first iPad Pro I got. I had them. They actually warranty exchanged it for me because it was twisted.
But the great thing about Apple, though, is if you have a problem with it and it's a legitimate issue, not like you did something to it, and even that I think is questionable sometimes. I think if it's questionable, they might even take it anyway. But they're very good about standing behind their product, and if there's something wrong with it, like we'll replace it.
Do I know a secret about if you've got a problem, let's say that might be a bit.
I can't hear
You
this.
need to know this. You need to know this too.
I can't-
With Apple, if you go in and you've got a problem and they're like, well, I don't think we can cover this. This might be your fault. Just say, well, yeah, my Wi-Fi keeps disconnecting as well. Can't prove it. They can't prove it, and then they'll exchange your product because it's a fault of the actual product. That's it.
I'm interested to see what happens with the iPhones because the iPhone, Apple bought out the Intel handset division and they're making it their own. And this happened or last year, I think. So I don't think we're actually going to see because Apple they make their own processor, they do all their own stuff. They're going to have their own modem now.
I didn't know that.
And as far as I know,
for it.
I don't think it's going to be till next year. But they bought out Intel's modem chipset division, and they're the ones that have been putting them in the phones for forever. And of course, we know that Intel makes absolutely terrible modems. So my thought process is now that Apple has bought that eventually they're going to get around to making it. They're going to ideally be better.
You never know. I think the reason they bought them is I've got a feeling that within the next 2 cycles of hardware, when it comes to laptops and things, I think you're going to see all that built into that. I think that's their main. That's what it is.
And something right here. There hasn't been a Qualcomm modem in an iPhone. When was the last one? Like the 5S? Like half were Intel and half were Qualcomm?
I thought it was 4, but it could have been the 5 or 5S, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a really long time since there's been
a big dispute about it. Massive. Yeah. Another one of them fallouts where they were suing each other.
Yeah, that was another lawsuit thing. But yeah, my hope is that they'll get better. And of course, the iPhone 11 series seems to be slightly improved over the 10 and the 10S. Slightly. I say slightly.
It's still garbage compared to the Qualcomms. I can be sat in my yard under the awning, which has got a metal roof on it. But it shouldn't matter because I'm sat next to a window and I've got a mesh system in my house and the Wi-Fi on the iPhone, terrible. Android, it's fine. On the TCL, no problem. But the Android, the iPhone,
yeah, totally terrible. Absolutely horrible. And I'm actually, it's good. I'm moving buildings for my job when I go back. I've spent the last year on like the 12th story of this big concrete, like high-rise building. The Qualcomm stuff works like a champ up there, but I can be sitting there and can't even load a web page on my iPhone. It's it's ludicrous. So we're moving to a new building. I'm on the first floor. There's more windows. I'm hoping that situation is going to improve when I go back in a few weeks, I guess. I don't know. They said that I'm going to be working from home until at least June. And,
me too.
We'll reevaluate soon. I'm getting really tired of being at home. Now, I went out today for a walk on my lunch break, and I was talking to my wife, and I was like, you know what? I like being at home, but I'm tired of working from home, but I don't want to go back to work. It's like, I don't want to go back to being stuck in my office 8 hours a day with the hour and a half commute time back and forth and all that other garbage. But I'm tired of being stuck at home with 6 kids at home all day.
I think it'd be a bit different if you could go out at night and do things.
Maybe so.
Yeah, you could go to Best Buy and walk around. You can go to a restaurant and eat. And I think that's the problem, that you can't actually do anything, because that's the way I feel. I'm a bit, but I know for a fact when everything opens up and I can start doing my usual weekend routine, I'd love to work from home.
I'm sure your usual weekend routine is about 90% the same as mine. Wake up, go eat breakfast, go to Best Buy, and maybe go walk around the mall for a little bit.
Absolutely. That's date night on a Friday night. That was before the baby was born, but date night was meal, Best Buy, or Best Buy, then meal. One or the other.
Yeah, I feel sorry for my wife. She's the most wonderful person ever. Why she married me, I don't know. Why she's continued to stay married to me, I don't know. But she's a saint. But what we started doing, we've never really led an exciting life. We might occasionally watch an afternoon movie at 4:00 in the afternoon, and I'm to the point in my life now where I won't go to the movie theater after 6:30.
See, I'm that guy who will go before 12 because it's only $5.
You're probably the guy that shows up in your plaid pajama pants with a bucket of fried chicken.
Couldn't care as long as it's only costing me $5. Don't care. All right, I'll go on a Tuesday or before noon.
God, man, it was the most embarrassing thing. So my best friend, he and I used to go, watch movies occasionally, and AMC had this policy where maybe it was just ours, maybe it was a short-lived policy. You could bring in whatever you wanted to eat. I kid you not. He would go stop at KFC in the parking lot outside the AMC and get a bucket of chicken, and he would walk into the movie theater with a bucket of chicken. I'm like, do not. Oh my God, it was so embarrassing.
I'd be sat there smelling that and being hungry. You'd be like, oh. I'd have to punch him in the face and steal it. Just the way it is.
So, yeah, Ian says, don't hate on the man. I love matinees. Shoot, I'm going to take 6 kids to the movie. I'm going to the dollar store, the dollar theater every weekend.
I do want 6 kids at like 7 o'clock at night taking 6. It's going to cost like $200 to go and watch a movie.
Yeah, we've done that. And we do whenever it comes to like big things. My kids have to see all the Marvel movies. So, yeah, I'm stuck spending like $60. But what's nice is I've been paying like that $8 a month for the Cinemark Movie Pass for like years now.
Is it any good? That I got told.
I love it because I reserve my tickets as soon as they're available online. I don't have to worry about paying the online fee. You get 1 free movie ticket a month, which it pays for itself because it's like $7 to $10 for a movie ticket. So you're already paying for it, and then you get an additional like 30% off on concessions.
Oh, that's not bad.
So it's great. So yeah, I go in there. And then if we don't see a movie for a month or 2, the tickets roll over. So then I'll go, and then I'll just have to buy like 4 or 5 tickets instead of like 8. So
didn't realize they rolled over either.
Oh yeah, it does roll over. It's great. And one day, I mean, mine's still rolling. So by the time I get back to the theater, I'm gonna have like 6 tickets built up.
There you go. Free night out.
We're gonna see Top Gun for free in November.
That's cool. Yeah,
I cannot wait.
When it's been put back to November.
Yeah, I think November. Man, I have been waiting my whole life for this movie, and now it finally is coming out, and it gets postponed and pushed back.
It's like me with Bond. I mean, they postponed the crap out of that. It's like next year now. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, well,
Batman's been pushed back to 2021. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I wish that more people would embrace, and actually, Universal has been making more money going straight to video with these new movies.
These home releases, like that Trolls movie, whoever does that, it's like exceeded everybody's expectations in sales.
And they're like AMC is boycotting them now. AMC is not going to show the Universal shows because
of that.
Yeah.
From now on, I bet Universal are like, your fault, dude. I mean, if they're not going to show the Fast series, well, AMC are going to lose out on a lot of money when it comes to concessions. A fortune.
Yeah. All right. So before everybody jumps ship, because we're not even talking about tech right now, we'll get back to something remotely tech. So I want to talk about these iPhones real quick. So we've got the iPhone 12. They're getting crazy here now. So they have 2 distinct lines now. They have the iPhone 12 series. Oh, they have the 12, the 12 Max, the 12 Pro, the 12 Pro Max. It's like, it's all sorts of crazy. It's like the cool points went out the window and they got all twisted up in the game. If you've seen that movie. Maybe you've seen that movie. Okay, whatever. So the iPhone 12 is going to have a 5.4-inch screen. The 12 Max is going to have a 6.1. But it says they're all 4 going to have OLEDs. And you got the 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max. What's odd to me is that you have a 12 Max and a 12 Pro that are both rocking a 6.1-inch OLED panel, which is really weird. But the Pro is going to have ProMotion. ProMotion.
So wait, the regular 12s are going to have OLED panels?
That's from what I'm reading, and this is on a Macworld article. It says iPhone 12 Max is going to have a 6.1-inch OLED Super Retina, and it says the 12 Pro is going to be a 6.1-inch OLED Super Retina XDR ProMotion.
That makes no sense.
I guess they figure, and it looks like the price difference is fairly significant. For the base model stores, they're both $128, but you're looking at $749 for the Max, and you're looking at $999 for the 12 Pro. So $250 price difference, but also the 12 Pro is going to have the triple camera setup with the LiDAR versus the 2 camera setup in the Max. So effectively, it looks like the 12 is going to be the same as the 11 body size, but it's going to get an OLED panel, and you're still going to have the 2 cameras versus the Pro is going to be the same size, but you're going to get the LiDAR, the 3 cameras, and the ProMotion.
I won't buy one. I'll buy a regular one. Don't care about telezoom or whatever they call it. I'll just stick with a wide angle and regular.
Yeah, to
There's
me, that
no panel on it. But yep, there you go.
That's what I like the best, is that wide angle. And it's not like it's any sort of groundbreaking telephoto lens that you're getting with the iPhone. It's not like the telephoto zoom that you get with the Pixel, which is amazing.
Yes.
You're talking what, like 2-3 times telephoto zoom? Whoopity-doo.
Who cares?
Yeah, really not that big of a deal. Oh, yeah, here we go. But it is going to have the best screen ever in an iPhone.
In any phone. It's any phone. All right. They will have invented the OLED panel this time.
Hey, I can't even wait, because it's always the best. I don't know what in the world is going on with the autofocus on my thing tonight, but it's just going.
Because your face looks like garbage.
It does. It does look like garbage.
Like a dumpster fire.
I know. Well, it's sad. I was doing some film
like
work.
Me, who looks like a god sat here.
A god of rotten potatoes.
No, dude. No, dude. No, dude. Anyway.
So before the show, my hair's combed over a little bit more, but you can see that this is hanging on there by an edge. I was laying down. I set my timer. I laid down after dinner. I had some steak tips and rice with dinner. It was really, really delicious.
You did that.
Oh, it's so good. It's my favorite meal, and I ate a lot of it. And then I went. It was at like 5:30, so I set a timer. Yeah, so I set a timer to get this thing to focus. And I laid in bed, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get up in 40 minutes and start shooting. And the next thing I know, I'm like, all right, snooze. All right, reset alarm. And then it was like I woke up and my hair was like, because I'd been laying down on the pillow for so long. So I had to tidy up a little bit before I started recording and got on the show. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting with these new iPhone models. They've got to cannibalize into the Pro versions when it comes to sales. Apple are a strange company though, because they make products that will cannibalize into each other. It's got so confusing since Steve Jobs passed away. That has been a big thing that's happened. They produce products that make no point buying a low-end MacBook Pro when for the same money you can buy a MacBook Air with a better processor, higher storage, and the same price. Well, what gets me though, we've had an LCD panel in the XR and the 11, and everybody wants the OLED now. That's great. I love OLED panels, but what we're talking about here is a 6.1 OLED against a 6.1 OLED with the 120 hertz display for an extra $250. Why is a normal person going to walk into a store and you're going to see so you're telling me this 6.1 inch iPhone is $749, but this 6.1 inch iPhone is $999, and it only looks better a little bit when you scroll stuff?
And Bob, who's my age or older, is going to be like, I don't see the difference. Yeah,
they're not. They're really not. I mean, my wife can't even tell the difference. It's like, oh, look, honey, this one's amazing. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, but look, it's smoother when it scrolls.
Okay. I will go out on a limb and say I cannot tell the difference between 90 hertz and 120 hertz.
Yeah, that's like the people. Yeah, some people tell you they have a calibrated eye and they can tell the difference between quad HDR and 1080p at like a 5.4 inch screen. And I'm like, no, you can't.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's indistinguishable to the human eye at a certain point. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Oh my gosh!
Tornado warning.
No, it's not a tornado. It's one of those emergency alert things.
We get that tornado.
Well, what gets me is I've got like 6 phones sitting here, so I'm surprised that more of them haven't gone off yet.
It's all discoed right now.
It drives me crazy at like 2 o'clock in the morning when there's like a severe thunderstorm warning, and it's like one goes off and then another one goes off like 2 minutes later, and then another one goes off like 3 minutes. It's just utterly crazy. But yeah, I've been enjoying this iPhone SE so much though. The new 2020 iPhone SE for $399, complete no brainer. I love this phone. I'm probably going to be inclined to pick up the cheaper model at the 5.4 inch. I think it's going to be a really nice phone. I really enjoy having a smaller size one-handed phone.
You are one of the only people, after having it for a little while, that has actually said that I know.
It's right here.
I know. I mean, what I'm saying is, a lot of people that I spoke to just.
And I've got my Nomad case on it that I bought and paid for off of eBay, and it's nice. It's blue leather. I love this phone. I'm happy as I can be with this little thing. I don't even have the SIM card hadn't been in my fold in like 2 weeks.
You're using an iPhone SE over your Galaxy Fold. Did you hear what I just said to you then?
Mostly. I need to put an asterisk next to that because I've been testing so many other phones, but I have not put the SIM card from my other phone back into the fold yet.
Smaller. The iPhone SE is smaller. Anyway, I'm on
it is a small phone. What are you pointing at?
Talking to my wife, she decided that she was going to have a conversation with me as she walked past the door.
I was like, all I see is you like an old man pointing at the ceiling over there talking.
Get out of my yard, you little bastard.
I was like, what is going on? Yeah, here, Drew, and you're kind of sandwiched because Joe Hussey there, he's got a fold. Joe's got a fold, he's got a flip. He's also got a channel that's coming in summer of 2019. He's got a lot going on.
In fairness, though, we did release a video this weekend about 3.5 hours long for about 3 things he liked and 3 things he didn't like.
Well, he does tell you that it is 3 things that he...
Maybe it was 3 hours, 20 minutes, not 30 minutes. But either way, you better get your popcorn ready because it's a long one.
Or your bucket of KFC.
That's right. Or Kroger chicken.
He did release a video, though. I am proud of Joe. And Joe puts a lot of work into his videos. He really cares about it. So go check out his channel. Joe.
Chasm.
Yeah, Chasm. Type out your channel link down there so people can look at it. Go watch his 3 things he likes about the flip and the 3 things he doesn't.
It starts off with the old woman from Titanic saying, "It's been 84 years."
Yeah. 3 things I like about the flip. It flips.
Yeah.
3 things I don't like. It flips.
Uh-huh.
It flips too bad. But either way, so the Fold is an amazing phone. It's also a really expensive phone. And as soon as I get done reviewing stuff one day, because I don't like typing on it that much. And I do so much typing and I'm always busy, so I'm never flipping the sucker open. So it usually has my secondary SIM in it. It had my primary SIM in it until I got the iPhone SE. I can type like a champ when it comes to the iPhone SE. I hammer stuff out all the time, as opposed to on the Fold, I don't type super fast on it. So it gets frustrating because I'm continually having to like fix things, go back and all that crap. But it's a wonder to use. I love using it, especially for like playing games, media consumption, all that other great stuff. So normally, I plan on pivoting it over to my secondary SIM because I like having both. But I haven't been able to because I got iPhone SE, then I got that Unihertz Titan. I used my BlackBerry Q10 for like 2 weeks for that one video. I've got the TCL 10 Pro now. And all these stinking phones, I haven't been able to get to the point where I can put the sucker back in my phone yet and carry it around. And I don't see that changing relatively soon either because, of course, I'm going to get the TCL 10L, probably towards the end of the month. And also the LG V60 was in there. So I'm hoping I'm going to get the Velvet. I don't know. I'm kind of you're on the list. We'll let you know. They sent me the V60, but I don't have any time or date determined in the future that they're going to do that. You can start talking again.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because, I drifted off into your guess of how many devices you've been using, and I just sort of I don't know how I don't have drool hanging off my face right now. I have no idea what you have just spoke about. I have no idea. So anyway,
guys, though.
How about I don't know. What do we talk about? I don't know. I literally was just staring at the screen like.
I looked over every once in a while. I'm like, I need to wrap this up so Dan can say something again.
Yeah, you totally lost me. It's just gone. It's gone. But the Velvet, I hope you get one. I really do. It's just a shame people are going to hate it because it's an LG phone.
Just because it's LG. Maybe they'll hate it less this year because OnePlus has pissed off so many people.
I don't think so. It's LG.
People love to hate LG. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, LG are their own worst enemy. People only hate LG because of their K-pop software that they install. It's just that skin that they have with the Duplo brick icons and like 3 of each.
You know, the most annoying thing I hate about LG software is when you pull and you drag on like the screen, it does like that little stretchy elastic effect thing. It's really annoying. Like I don't like that at all.
Let's talk about the Pixel 4a or 5. No problem. The 4a will be out. Everyone's saying June right now. Balls. It'll be out 21st, 22nd, the latest, the 26th.
You think so?
Without a doubt.
I know before.
Cases are on sale right now.
Yeah. I think in a different world where we're not in the position that we're in the world right now, it probably would have been out sooner.
Yes, and it's been out by now, without a doubt, probably beginning of May.
So I don't know who they're sourcing all their manufacturing out to and all that other good stuff, but it seems that they're not as Johnny on the spot with things as the one that Apple uses.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Apple is the number one manufacturer basically in the world, so they're going to have priority over everybody. So I didn't expect that the Pixel was going to come out before the iPhone. And of course, the iPhone SE came out of nowhere. I think that like January came around and Apple's like, you know how we can really stick it to them? We can release another SE right about the time they get ready to bring one out. Somebody get the stamp out for the iPhone 8 cases and throw an A13 in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been so hushed for so long. I mean, it's not something that was like, oh, we know this is coming. I mean,
no.
The iPhone SE has kind of been in the rumor mill for like 2 years. We thought we were going to get
at least it's absolutely. And they thought there was going to be a bigger one with it, which now is the rumor mill is there's going to be, which I find bizarre.
I would actually love that because I like Touch ID. I don't like Face ID very much.
I'm not a big fan of Face ID. I like the old iPhone 8 form factor.
I would be really happy if Apple would just put cheap facial scanning in there and let me turn it on through the camera and give me
Android. Yeah, you got that not very secure version, and it's fine. I'm okay with that, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, nobody's going to rip off a picture of your ugly face and try and get into your phone anyway. They're not going to find anything in there but Grubhub, you know, and Uber Eats for KFC.
That's right. Battery powered. He agrees with me, Chris. There, 522 Pixel 4a. I'm telling you, it's going to be 521 or 522. I've been saying that for how long now? Month and a half.
Month, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my thing.
I'm sure of it.
Here's my thing. I don't care. When it shows up, it shows up.
Problem is, though, they can't leave it too long because it's going to be way too late and people aren't going to be interested because you're going to be too close to the influx of flagships coming.
Yeah.
So
there's a very narrow market for people that want these phones because people are not chomping at the bit to pick up a Pixel like they are an iPhone or like they are with certain Samsung devices. And I don't know anybody that wants a mid-tier Samsung device. But either way, the new A51's out if you care. I've not seen especially wonderful things about it. But talking about the Pixel 4a, there are people that I think are willing to buy it, but I think probably 20% of the people that were willing to buy it probably went ahead and bought an iPhone SE waiting for the Pixel 4a to come out.
Yeah, they're not going to wait forever. That's the thing. And see what Jason's just said? I don't know whether you read that today. The guy behind the software with Google Camera left Google today.
Oh, he did?
Now, if OnePlus had something about them, they would go ahead and hire that guy because they could. Because
I did not hear that. That's big.
Yeah.
Google's been having a lot of problems here lately. I did see an article today. I think it was today. Or I saw somebody posted saying like how many millions of units like the Pixel 3 sold and then the Pixel 4 and then like the 3A and 3A XL series. And basically they've been selling like crap. I think one of them was only in like 2 or 3 million that they sold. Here's a position that Google is in though, because I don't even know what kind of numbers LG is pushing at this point in time. I really don't. They probably don't even advertise that. But that's something big people used to really track how many iPhones are sold, how many Galaxies are sold. It used to be stuff you'd see out all the time in the numbers. And now, Pixel 4, 2 million sold. That's abysmal for a company. But here's the thing. Google can afford it. They could write that off any day of the week. So they're not going to let low sales like that deter them. They're going to continue to make things so that they can continue to compete just like LG does. And they will continue to do that. I'm not worried about that. But it's got to hurt.
Pixel 5. I read today or yesterday. For once, Google aren't going to be last to the processor like the 765G they've always been rumored with. They're actually going to be the first to use the 768.
So they can't be first to the race with the new processor. So they're going to be first to the race with the upper tier, mid tier processor.
And the only difference, I believe, is it's got a much beefier GPU.
Well, I think that Google is one thing that has been big about Google. It's all about what works. It's all about fundamentalism. It's about minimalism. You may not necessarily need a 865 processor. You don't need an 855 processor. They showed last year that they did it with a 670 processor with the camera. So I would imagine that this 768 or whatever this one you just said is probably going to be very powerful, probably on par with the Snapdragon 835, 845 territory. Probably is going to be very capable, but you're not going to get charged an arm and a leg. And that's a problem that people have been complaining about. We don't like paying these higher prices. We can't even use 5G in the way that it's designed to be used, but you're making me pay an extra $100.
And I read something that's really naughty about the Snapdragon 865. So I don't know whether you've seen the new Poco phone F2 got released or shown to the world, and it's got the 865 with the 5G disabled in it. So it's cheaper.
Interesting.
So why are we being forced 5G when we don't need it?
Yeah, it didn't like $500.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's stupid, and it's an LTE only phone. So because they disabled the 5G,
and I'm totally okay with that.
Oh, I am. But why is it being forced over here? It's pathetic. Why do I want 5G when my 5G right now is slower than my LTE?
It is. And I've demonstrated that multiple times with my phone. It's like, 5G, 12 megabits download. It's not impressive.
And the upload's like half a meg. It's like, come on. Yeah. I find there's something very strange with the American market right now with the Snapdragon, the Qualcomm processors. They're really slapping our asses, let's say. It's
there is that, but at the same time, is this gimmick that American models
Yes, it does. Ryan, the 865 comes with a 5G modem.
It's built in on the SoC.
Yes.
As far as I know.
That was the reason why they were so expensive.
Well, the thing is carriers have been sticking it to us for the last year with this whole illusion of actual 5G connectivity. They've been trying to sell us 5G like it's 5G when really it's like 4G LTE like plus. It's just expanded bands of the same coverage. It's just that it's less utilized. It has wider connectivity and there's less traffic on it, so it's faster. And yes, the frequencies they're using can support slightly higher speeds, but it's not 5G. 5G was sold to us years ago as essentially gigabit speed is what we were.
Wave. Yeah.
And Verizon does that. And in certain places, Sprint was doing that in like the 5 cities that they launched in, but it requires a tremendous amount of battery and it's very inefficient. So then they came out with these extended networks, the 5GE, or what, for lack of better terminology, and T-Mobile hit AT&T and Verizon over the head with it because they were trying to say that they had 5G when they didn't. And then lo and behold, T-Mobile follows in suit and does the exact same thing.
And just calls it 5G.
That's all it is. It's this watered down stuff. Yeah, it may come from a 5G antenna, but it is not how this was. Not how it was told to us.
No, definitely not. I just found that really strange that I heard that today. Can't remember where I read it, but I read it somewhere that the reason that they were able to do it so cheap was because it was disabled on the 865.
I would have to look into that because a long time ago we used to have this thing that we used to call a CPU, but then they changed it to an SoC, a system on chip, where they integrated everything together into one chip as opposed to having separate chips for things. And Qualcomm has been able to do that because Qualcomm makes both the processor and the modem. So I don't know about the fine-tuned nature of the 865, whether it is a true SoC or if they made one that has a separate modem. I don't know. So it could go either way. But if it can go either way, why were we sold one with only one option for $100 more than the rest of the world? And now why can you get an 865 and the Pocophone 2 much cheaper with an 865 in it?
I'm reading here. Yeah, I mean, it even comes disabled in a lot of phones. Like in India, they don't have any 5G.
There's no point.
Infrastructure. So it's disabled with them on the off. So
what? Are we getting charged a higher amount to pay for the 865 for the rest of the world when they don't even have it?
I'm presuming so. I mean, there's something really weird about
They're
it.
like, we're going to hit America over the head with these new 5G chips, even though it's going to not be in all these other phones.
Yeah, phones are starting to trickle into the market with Qualcomm's new Snapdragon 865 SoC. And the company's unchecked monopoly power over the mobile industry is coming to a head with this new chip. Qualcomm is forcing 5G on everyone with the Snapdragon 865.
You know what I would like to see? I would like to see Dell to start make phones and like let me pick what goes in my phone. Like I want a 6-inch OLED panel and I want an 855 plus in it, and I want 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I want 128 gigabytes of storage, and I want a headphone jack. And add that to my cart and tell me what it's going to cost. Yeah, just like you get a car, you buy all sorts of other things, you piecemeal it together. You can do it with the custom gaming PC. I mean, let's say you start off with the baseline phone at like $500, and then it costs this much to add this, and this much to add this, and like these are your different screen prices. I would totally spend the money to get the phone that I want, as opposed to the one that's like streamlined that comes off the shelf that you force feed the things I don't need or want and charge me more money.
See, I'm seeing what Ryan's writing there. I have not seen that anyway. Everywhere I'm reading that the 5G modem is mandatory with the 865. And that was the way I always believed it was going to be.
I don't know. I'll do some reading and come back to this for next week.
Yeah.
I just don't know anything about it.
Yeah, it's just weird. I don't get it.
But it's very interesting to me though that they did that in other parts of the world, and you have a 5G capable 5G compliant chip coming out at such a budget price. So what is it? Pocophone F2?
Yeah, it's $599. Is it something like that? $599.
It says Pocophone F2 is a high-end all-screen phone for $500. But does that mean $599 or $499? Let me look here. Search for $.
I got you, Ryan. Yeah, I've just read that. They do have an X55 as well. Yeah. Over the X60. But why not give us that choice over here? Like Samsung was stupid this year just to force everybody into the X60. Why?
And that's the modem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? When there's another option that's going to work just as well. Yeah, Qualcomm are just becoming too big for their boots.
Moral of the story. Qualcomm sucks.
Well, they are, because they've got a monopoly on the market, and eventually they'll get brought down. Something will happen where they're monopolizing the market, and somebody will get involved, and they'll have to start splitting shit up.
It's going to take two things. MediaTek, which is becoming better and better, is going to continue to get better for less money. And also Intel, their handset division or their modem division that Apple now has, it's going to be something really special and difficult to contend with when let's say the iPhone 13 comes out and it has an Apple modem in it that's actually good, an Apple modem in it, a processor that's good, all Apple from the ground up. But then they start selling these things cheaper and they start working their way into the other market. The only thing that's saving Qualcomm is the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean.
Absolutely. It's like Ryan says there, that's going to be huge. Samsung and AMD are working on a new processor, mobile processor. AMD right now are on fire.
Oh, they make great processors.
They are blowing Intel and Nvidia and just out of the water with pricing and speeds. And if they can get a really good SoC down, it's going to be that'll really blow the market wide open. Isn't that taking over from the Exynos? I believe that's what it is. It's going to be a replacement for Samsung's own.
I think so.
Done.
The Exynos processor was never really exceptional.
Oh, it was for the Galaxy Note. I want to say the Note 5 and the Note 8, I believe, were far better on the Exynos.
They were, and they only came in the international model. And I don't know why. I don't know what red tape or what's been going on in the background, but they couldn't sell the Exynos processors over in the US. They would make the Samsung phones, and you would get the Qualcomm version over here, and you get the Exynos version internationally. And then, some of them were better than others. Like some of them were really good, and some of them were hit or miss. And it's like, 1 year the Qualcomm will be better, 1 year the Exynos one will be better. And Exynos and Qualcomm actually worked together when it came to the Snapdragon 835. And that was the reason that the S8 was the only one that could get it first, because Qualcomm needed Samsung for half of their production capability to put the chip out in the first place.
Yep. Is that what it was, Ryan? They blocked the Exynos in court? I mean, that's just like, come on.
Probably so. I mean, that sounds completely appropriate and up.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's just, I think if AMD get on board with mobile chipsets like that, the game over right now. They are so ahead of the game. Even the Vega processors, where the Vega graphics built in Vegas, the Vega 10 is so capable for what it is compared to the Iris built in.
Well, I mean, it requires more power and a fan, fans and all that. Those are blower cards, but yeah, great graphics. They're great for video editing. So good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Qualcomm needs to step down a little bit.
It is funny. Once Samsung replaces Exynos, they should bury them with all the copies of ET.
Let me tell you, if this boy here, this guy on this side of the screen, has a copy of ET.
I do. Apparently, I don't have the super rare copy. I just have a copy of it. But
either way,
yeah, I have a copy. Yeah, it was funny because when we had Scott Peachy on the show, and I ran off to the other room and grabbed my box of my Atari cartridges and come back. I do have an Atari cartridge for the Atari 2600 of ET.
I was impressed. I was like, damn. I've not read that about.
I thought I'd heard that.
Did you? I didn't think. I don't know. I don't see why they don't.
Let me look. I thought I heard something like that.
If you look at all the graphics,
I know they've got their Titan security chip. Yeah, it says right here, April 14th, 2020, The Verge reports Google is reportedly building its own processor for Pixels.
Don't blame them.
I don't either. And it's funny that they're doing that now. And it's weird. If you have any sort of a computer or PC background, there used to be a lot more people in the PC and the processor market. It wasn't just Intel and AMD. The first computer I ever built actually had a processor from a company called Cyrix. It was an old 386, 486, 586. I even had a 686 processor, 333 megahertz by a company called Cyrix. I had WinChip. I had Intel. I had AMD. There used to be a lot of different companies, and then they all just kind of fizzled out. And what you got at the top was Intel and AMD, and that's how it's been for the longest time now. Just like with video cards. There used to be so many different kinds, and then it's whittled down, and you've got GeForce, and you've got you've got NVIDIA, and you've got the Radeon cards, ATI. So it's funny to me now that all these different companies are investing in their own chips. But it makes sense. If you look at the Apple model, one reason Apple stuff runs so well is because it's all fine-tuned for their chip.
Absolutely. I think Microsoft have gone that way, haven't they, as well, with the Surface Pro X? I believe Qualcomm still make it, but they have the SP1, is it called, or something? The SQ1 is the name of their processor, and that it's an ARM processor, not an actual Intel processor.
Oh, yeah. If you want to really geek out, yes, the Voodoo, the old Voodoo cards were so good.
I used to love my Voodoo. The
And
box on it was great because it was all flames, if I remember rightly, with a skull on it or something like that. It was awesome.
I had one of those way back in the day. I remember, and we're off the clock now. It's 4 minutes after an hour, so anyone that talks now is subject to the mercy of whatever I want to talk about.
Absolutely.
But PC building, man. I started building PCs. My first one I put together, I was like 11, and it was a Cyrix 486, 33 megahertz computer. I had a 4 megabytes of memory. I had a 170 megabyte hard drive, and it just had an integrated graphics card, and I had a PCI sound card. And from there, it was just whatever I could get my hands on. The church I went to down the street, there was a guy who built computers for a living. I mowed his yard every week, and he would pay me with computer parts. So he'd be like, here's this processor, or here's this hard drive, or here's some more memory. And I remember the first computer I ever overclocked was my first Pentium. We got a 75 megahertz Pentium back when you could adjust the dip switches.
Yeah, the switches. Yeah.
So I overclocked that sucker from 75 megahertz to 90 megahertz. It originally had 8 megabits of RAM. I put 54.
Mm-hmm.
I upgraded from a 4 times speed CD-ROM to a 16 times speed CD-ROM.
Plexor. Tell you, when they brought them out, you were balling if you had a Plexor 8-speed or 16-speed CD-ROM. You were like,
And I had a 4 megabyte stealth video card in there. And I had a Hayes Acura 33.6 baud data fax modem.
Nice. And
we had 2 phone lines in our house. We had one phone line for the phone, and we had another phone line for the internet.
Yep.
And
I look.
Yeah.
LOL. America Online.
We used AOL. We did. Yeah. And it's funny, up until like 2 years ago, my mom thought AOL was the internet. And my mom's still paying for AOL, but she still has an AOL email address. She's had the same AOL.
It's still available, isn't it? Yahoo bought them, I believe, didn't they?
She's had the same AOL email address since 1994.
That's pretty long.
Never changed. Yeah. Spam be damned. She has had the same AOL email address for coming on 30 years. But yeah, it was just crazy. A different world back then. And
it's like back when I was doing stuff. Everybody had to have a creative Sound Blaster sound card.
Oh yeah,
now no one cares. But you had to have this top of the line creative Sound Blaster in your gaming rig. Why, really? I mean, why?
Hey, I had 16-bit graphics, 16-bit sound, bro.
Oh, wow.
16,200 hertz sampling.
Wow.
If that's even right.
That's impressive.
I had one, and I remember my buddy got a Sound Blaster for Christmas. He's like, "Oh, dude, you got a Sound Blaster." I had a one from a company called Aureal, Aureal.
Mm-hmm.
They died out. They went the way of the dodo, but the sucker was so good, back in like 1998, 1999. But it was great back then. But we were going through video cards all the time. I remember back when I downloaded an 80 megabyte file one time, back in the day when you could use like the download savers where you could like pick up later. I remember when that came out. That was revolutionary because inevitably, if I were to download anything, halfway through it, somebody would pick the phone up somewhere, and I would have to start my 8 megabyte download all over again.
Yeah, back when I was stealing music, I'd leave it going all night so I could download one album or something like that. It was like 12 hours to download 10 songs. Oh my God.
Dude, hey, here we go. So Creative bought Aureal. At least somebody knows what Aureal is around here. But man, it was so cool back then. And it was like all the time they were making changes. Like I remember when I bought my first video card, my first dedicated video card, it was 1 megabyte. And you could buy the RAM chips to put in there because it had the slots available. It was a 1 megabyte video card expandable to 2. So I actually got the memory chips and put them in there. I had a 2 megabyte video card. Then I got a 4. Then I got an 8. Then I remember when I got a 16 megabyte video card. It was like mind blowing. So I was playing Age of Empires 2.
It's crazy when you think over the last 20 years how much has changed.
Oh yeah,
it's insane. But now we're getting to that point where I think we're kind of plateauing.
We got Joe's attention. Dip switches.
Yeah.
Not dipsticks like you, and dip switches.
Yep.
Hey, dip switches were so nice though.
It was easy.
Because otherwise you had to go move all the jumper pins on the board to set the bus speed and the multiplier and all that stuff. And then we got fancy and you could do it from the BIOS.
Yeah, right. Switches. I forgot about them until I knew where you were going as soon as you said it. As I was like, damn.
No, it was so cool. And I could overclock my Pentium from 75 megahertz to 110 megahertz, but it would start having software issues and things would crash and like the text would turn purple and it was not sustainable. I did it to show off to a couple of friends a few times. Like, look, I got my clock speed up to 110 megahertz. It's hilarious now though, because like all the you can go buy a cheap blue phone for $100 and the sucker's got an 8-core 1.4 gigahertz processor.
I know, right?
I remember when I got my first gigahertz processor, and it's actually a Celeron, the one that I got.
Mine was an AMD. It wasn't I had what did they used to call it?
Probably the Athlon.
Athlon, yeah, AMD Athlon, 1.1 gigahertz. It was like, damn.
Dude, do you remember the Pentium 2s? The suckers are huge.
Yes.
Oh, some crazy stuff. Yeah, the AMD FX series. Right with the 3D Now technology. OpenGL support.
The AMD Athlon. That was my first real gaming computer. I can't remember. I had a GeForce GTX. I want to say it was called a 150 at the time, and it was sprayed like metallic pink with like a tire on top for the fan with spokes on it. That thing kicked ass in the day. With my dial-up modem, playing Doom and Counter-Strike with 150 ping. It was like, what?
Hey, dude, 150 ping used to be
good. Yeah, that was good because around the corner, my friend, he'd be like 190, 200. It was like, yay.
I remember I used to play with my uncle, and we would play Quake over the modem. And he had a 56K modem. I had a 33.6 modem. And I would be happy if I could get like 300 or 250 ping.
Crazy.
And I would still beat him sometimes, but he would try to rub it in like, you're playing with like 100 ping, and I'm playing with like 3 milliseconds of delay here, dude. We're talking about a first-person shooter.
Then I was like, DSL before cable came out. I was like,
I remember, direct subscriber line.
Dual line DSL. Damn.
I remember when I got mine. We got it in the year 2000, the year before I joined the military, and 16 kilobits per second download speed. Dude, I was cooking with gas, man. 16 kilobits per second. It was amazing.
It's not so because now, we used to play with anywhere from 150 to 300 ping and we'd be okay with it. Now, if I'm anything over 50, I'm like, what's happening to my internet?
Oh, yeah. My kids are like, if they're in the 70s, they're coming in here complaining, Dad, are you uploading the video right now?
I'm like, goddamn lag, I'm getting shot because I'm like 70 ping.
Like, get out of my room. These whippersnappers.
Yeah. And if it hits 100, that's it. I'm like, someone's doing something they shouldn't be.
If I could consistently maintain 150 to 200 ping, I considered that playable. But the sad thing is how good I actually was with that much latency.
That's it. And insane. Because Counter-Strike, I was great on Counter-Strike. And I always 180, 190 on there. I thought everybody else had that lag as well. It wasn't just you.
Yeah, man. I used to play the crap out of StarCraft, like the original StarCraft game.
Yeah.
Dude, I would play. I'm surprised I had bed sores. I would just I had my computer on the floor. I lay on the floor and play for hours and hours and hours and hours. And I one time remember my final StarCraft account, because when I started having like bad records, I'd just make a new one. And my last StarCraft account, I had like a 55 and like 3 record. Like it was really good. I was really good at StarCraft by the time I finally got done playing. But yeah, I used to play that online all the time. And then Warcraft 3, I migrated over to Warcraft 3 and I played that like all the time. Like me and my best friend's cousin were actually ranked in the top 50 leaderboard for like 2v2 arranged teams in the US on the server. We played all the time. We play like 7 hours a day, like 5 days a week. Like my kids do with Fortnite now, and I complain.
There you go. Joe just brought me back to something else. When I was a kid, the Amiga and the Atari ST, the Commodore Amiga A500, I had one of them. Everybody was so jealous in school. Did you have them over here? Or are you too young for the Amiga?
I never had an Amiga.
They were like, oh, God, I love my Amiga. And then went and bought an Atari ST. And Joe will back me up on this. The Atari ST was fantastic. But the sound chip in it was out of an Atari 2600. There is no doubt about it. It was the most horrendous thing they ever did. I don't know why they did that. The Amiga killed it when it comes to sound, but
I think Joe still remembers the day of punch card machines.
Me too.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So, yeah, I had the Amiga. I remember playing on the Amiga. There was a game called Jeff Hammond's Formula One, and it was the first real 3D racing game. Oh, I
used to love F1 pole position. Man,
how good was that? Pole position. I used to love that game.
Dude, I love that game, especially whenever I would go sit down like at an arcade and I could play with the pedals and the wheel. Man, I was so good at F1 pole position.
See, Ryan, that may have been over here that Nintendo was the first mainstream console, but over in England, it wasn't. We had the old black and white console where the 10-in-1 games where they'd all be the same game. Beep. Beep.
It changed.
Every house had one. Yeah, every house had one, and the machine was orange and black. You know, or if you were really cool, you had the wood veneer Atari 2600.
We had one of those.
Yeah, with the metal switches on it. Yeah.
Yeah, the metal switches, the on and the reset.
Yeah. So, yeah, Nintendo was big, but there was a few things before that when I was a kid. Wow.
That was the first big mainstream thing here in the States. I mean, some people had Commodores and some people had Ataris, but I think they didn't really appeal to younger kids as much, I don't think. They were more like...
We had a thing called like the Sinclair Spectrum. It was a British-made computer. It was very small, 48K memory on it. And then we had the Amstrad. I don't know if you remember that company. Amstrad made a thing called the CPC 464, and it came with a green monitor, or you could be daddy big bucks like me and have a color monitor. So those things at the time were a little bit bigger than your consoles, because it was the massive.
You know how you knew if you had rich friends when you were growing up? If they had a Neo Geo.
Oh man, I always wanted a Neo Geo. The games were like $100 back then as well.
Dude, they were so crazy. Yeah. Like the 3DO and the Neo Geo, man. That's
I had a 3DO.
I wanted a 3DO so bad, man.
I had it, and I only got it because I wanted that Muhammad Ali game, The Foes of Muhammad Ali.
You know what I've been tempted to buy here recently that I always wanted as a kid was the Atari Lynx, the handheld, like the Game Gear.
The Alien versus Predator on that back in the day, because I had an Atari Lynx. That thing was awesome back then.
I was actually looking at them on Amazon the other day. Oh, the Atari Jaguar, the first 32-bit.
That's what I'm thinking of, the Jaguar, sorry. That's what I'm thinking of.
The Jaguar, yeah, I heard Alien versus Predator on that was amazing.
It was fantastic.
I remember I would see it, and I would go when we go to the mall, and they had KB Toy Store, and you could see the demo that never worked. Like they would never have the sucker turned on. And I always wanted an Atari Jaguar. But what's funny about the Atari Jaguar, they claimed to be the first 32-bit system, but it wasn't a true 32-bit processor. It was two 16-bit processors.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Predator was awesome. That was the only game as well that was worth buying on the Jaguar.
You know what I had? I had a Sega CD.
Yeah, I had a Sega CD. Yeah, and a 32X that you plugged in to the top of it.
Did you have Sewer Shark?
Oh my god, yeah, and Night Trap. Do you remember Night Trap?
that system. Yeah, I had the Sega. I had the original Sega, not the Sega 2. I had the original Sega system, the bigger one. And then the Sega CD would punch on the side of it.
In England, it was called the Mega Drive. I think it was called Genesis over here.
Yeah.
And then you plug the Sega CD, the Mega Drive the Genesis sat into the Sega CD, and then they brought out another thing that made it 32-bit instead of 32X.
Yeah, but there were no games for it. All you could get was like Virtua Fighter, and it just looked slightly better than the normal Sega.
They had a boxing game on it, and it was fantastic. I can't remember what it was called. And then they had the F1 game. That was really good. And then I think Sega Rally was one of the launches. That was
Sega Rally was so good. Did you ever play the Sega Rally games on the Saturn? Did you have a Saturn?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, I love my Saturn.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna sit down in the next couple of weeks. I've been wanting to make this like a passion project for me because the Sega Saturn is my most favorite system of all time. I still have one. It's fully functional, and I actually have MechWarrior 2. I have this game called D. I have Daytona USA.
I remember D.
Oh, D was so good. It's different than the D you get now, but it was back in the day.
Back then.
I have Jurassic Park, Lost World, which was really good. I'm going to make a video about this, and it's going to get like 18 views, but I'm going to make
the Saturn version of FIFA Soccer. I can't remember what year it was the first one to come out with real audio commentary, and it was so good at the time. It was like, wow.
Yeah, you know what we need to do? We need to do another live stream, but on Fridays, and it's going to be about video games.
Yeah, I could go with that. But
maybe
see the Dreamcast there. Dreamcast was it was way ahead of its time. The Dreamcast,
it was so beautiful,
and it was getting a lot of backlash from the Saturn because the Saturn was horrendously overpriced. But the Dreamcast was fantastic.
It was so good. Yeah, it was too early. It was ahead of its time. It didn't get enough third-party support, and they wanted too much money for it. People were just not willing to pay that much money, and it didn't have the game catalog like the PlayStation 2 had. So
Soul Calibur on that thing was amazing.
Oh man, I used to go before I could afford one, and I ended up trading in so much stuff. And a funny story, and this is actually probably the most dishonest moment in my entire life. I'm gonna get candid right now. So I mowed yards. When I was like 14, 15, I had like 10 yards a week that I mowed. And that's how I paid for things. I started going to college when I was like 15, and I had to pay for it. Long story there. But I had to pay my own way to get into junior college because I graduated 3 years early. So I had scrimped and saved. I was homeschooled. So I was homeschooled. I graduated 3 years early, and my dad's like, well, you got to go to college, pay for it yourself. So I'm like, okay, well, thanks. So that's what I did. I mowed yards and saved up money and paid for it. Well, I had set aside, it was like $300 to get this thing used. I went to the place down the street and I bought it, and I got home with it because it was a used one, and I plugged everything in. I couldn't afford a game for it. I didn't have enough money for the game. All I had enough was money for the system. And I go down there and I buy it, and then I come back home and I turn the thing on just so I could see the splash screen. And it loads up. What's that big fighting game for
Reddit or Rumble?
No, there's like 8 of them now. It was another one it was not Soul Calibur.
Tekken?
No, not Tekken. What was the other one?
The one with the bouncing boobs.
Yeah, that one.
Dead or Alive.
Yeah, Dead or Alive 3, I think is the one it came with. And I turned my game on, and Dead or Alive,
it was like, boom.
It was a very enjoyable game at the age of 16.
Yes. Even graphic-wise. Isn't Dead or Alive 3 the first one that brought in, you could throw them off like the building, and you'd jump down onto another one, and different.
Oh, yeah, you could throw them down to different levels and stuff. So I got home, it had Dead or Alive 3 in it. I did not return it.
Well, that's not dishonest. You bought it that way.
Well, I usually look at it that way, but in my mind, I felt really guilty till the second fighting match.
yeah. Then it was. Woo, God.
All of my friends came over, and then I got Soul Calibur. My friends would come over, and it was a big thing for me to have friends back then. I was homeschooled, so like my 4 friends would come over, and one would bring over like a couple pizzas. The other would bring over some Mountain Dew and some Dr. Pepper, and we would just have Soul Calibur tournaments from like 8 o'clock at night till like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Did you not have a game called Power Stone? It was a lot like
Power Stone. Yeah,
that was another one by Capcom, real good.
You know what game that I liked was a guilty pleasure of mine was that Space Channel 5.
Never liked that.
That game, I love that game.
I liked Jet Set Radio. I thought that was that
radio and Crazy Taxi
at the time. Crazy Taxi.
Resident Evil Code Veronica.
That was superb on the side. You know, in England, so the Sega, no, the Dreamcast here, their logo was like an orange swirl.
Yeah,
In England, they replaced it with purple.
poofters.
I have no idea why. And you know what else was really ahead of its time as well back then? The VMU. That
The
you put into
VMU,
the controller.
I thought it was cool. Depending on what game you would play, it would
Yeah.
show things down there. Like on if you were playing
Time I
Cold
got
Harbor,
it.
it would show your character.
Yep.
If you were playing Resident Evil, it would show your health status and all that good stuff. So it's kind of like it was like a precursor almost to kind of like what happened with like the Nintendo DS or like some other things that were going on.
Mhm.
Things have been moving towards this second screen environment, but they were expensive. Those suckers are like $60, and they only held like 4 megs or whatever. They were not very large.
I think it was 4 meg. It wasn't a lot, but it was also the first gaming console to allow online play. And they had their own little chat rooms, if you remember, as well on the Dreamcast. You went into the Sega, I can't remember what it was called, and you could play Doom online against the PC players. And it was great if you was on a PC because you'd absolutely slaughter everybody on a Dreamcast.
Oh yeah,
Quake. Sorry, not Doom. Quake. Quake 3.
Yeah, I played Quake 3 online with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I got slaughtered.
Yes. Yes. But it was so good, though. It was so good. And I don't care what anyone says, the Xbox is the spiritual. They totally took what Sega failed with and brought the Xbox out. Same kind of controller. Same. So, yeah, it reminds me so much of a next gen Dreamcast.
Oh, yeah. But the controller did kind of suck for the Dreamcast, though. I did not like the controller.
Oh, I did.
I didn't mind the mechanics of it, but it was real bulky down at the bottom, and then the cable would loop back underneath, and then the VMU was down on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could have done some things a little bit better with it, but it was such a good console.
Street Racer, their graphics on that at the time, they were like photorealistic. It was like, oh my god! Did you ever have that over here, Metropolis Street Racer?
I did not have that one. No.
It was made by Psygnosis? They used to make the F1 games. Oh, so good. In fact, Metropolis Street Racer isn't half the crew from Metropolis Street Racer the guys who make Forza. I think.
Hey, man, Forza is such a good game. Did you see
Project Gotham Racing? That was another one that came out after.
Yeah, Ridge Racer Revolution. I played that. Did you see that they're remaking Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2?
They were good back in the day. I got so burnt out on them. There was like Tony Hawk 512. It was like
the original Tony Hawk. This is funny. Do you remember when Pizza Hut was giving out the demo CDs for the PlayStation?
I wasn't here then, so they didn't do that in England.
So Pizza Hut was delivering pizzas, and they were giving out these PlayStation demo CDs. They screwed up so bad because they gave you one that had Tony Hawk Pro Skater with only the first level on it, and it only played that Superman song, which is the warehouse level is the best level in the game. They gave you the best song, and I think they gave you Tony Hawk, and they gave you like one other character. We would just play that. I would remember how disappointed I was like a year later when we actually bought Tony Hawk because all I wanted to do was hear the one song, and all I wanted to do was play the warehouse level, and that's all we did. It's like they gave you the very best of the game for free in this demo CD when you ordered a pizza, and you didn't need anything else. It was great.
That was, what else was it? Ready to Rumble Boxing was also
that was so good
on the Dreamcast. I loved that.
Ready to Rumble was good.
Yeah, it was. Well, there was so much on the. When you think back, Dreamcast had some. They didn't have a lot of games, but the games that were out are real high quality games.
Yeah. Oh, such good times. I feel like a dedicated 11 people in here right now while we nerd out on old video games.
I know, right?
I'm serious. We should do this like once a month and have a game night and just talk about video gaming and computer stuff. Like every week. Yeah, maybe like the last Friday of the month or something, or last Thursday, something. We should do this,
especially with the new consoles coming out. That demo everybody was gooing over today. Now, it don't get me wrong, it looked good, it looked smooth and everything. But everyone was going on. If you went to the original tweet that Jeff Knightley released, people are going on how It's got to be 4K 60. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. It looks so good. Nothing's going to touch this. And it was 1440p at 30 frames a second.
Yeah.
And that just shows you how blind people are when it comes to console fanboyism, because they thought that was the best thing I've ever seen on a console.
Yeah. I can.
No, it wasn't.
I can relate 1000% to this. You have not lived until you played a game like Resident Evil with no memory card, and I have done that because
every time you play it, or
if you die,
yeah.
And the game, I mean, I was good at that game. I have beaten Resident Evil 1 at least 15 times, and Dom down there. There were games that you would play them, and it's like the one that got me was. I had a Zelda game, Link's Awakening, Link 2 on the Nintendo. The battery was bad in it for the memory, so you couldn't save your game. I tried to grind that sucker out like 4 times and never beat it. I got to the 8th dungeon, like where Ganon or whoever was at, and I died, and it was gone. I cannot save my game.
Dom saying there about Metal Gear Solid 2. The very first Metal Gear Solid, it came on 2 discs on the PlayStation, and you could run through that, literally run through the game. You could just all the way through it in 35 minutes.
Do you remember how Final Fantasy VII came with like 3 or 4 discs?
Yeah, my God,
it was like a book. Like when the original Diablo 2 came out, and you open the case. Like disc 1, insert disc 2, insert disc 3.
You went on. You were talking about Resident Evil. You know what game that lot should bring back out? And it was so good. I don't know whether many people played it. I played the hell out of it. Dino Crisis. Do you remember that? It was the same people who made Resident Evil. That was so good.
Do you remember Parasite Eve on the PlayStation?
Oh, I was talking to my wife about that. Parasite Eve was fantastic. It wasn't very long, but it was fantastic.
They should make another one. I love Parasite Eve.
They made a second one, didn't they? They did make Parasite Eve 2 on the PlayStation.
Oh, I didn't play the second one.
Yeah, I didn't either, but they did make a second one. And there was another one as well called Xenogears.
Oh, Xenogears was good too.
Yeah, it was by the Final Fantasy guys, and you were in a mech suit.
Yeah, like Dave says down there, Panzer Dragoon, classic.
That was so good, and so was Knights, the very first Knights.
Oh, Knights was good. I love Knights, and then especially when it had that 3D joystick.
Yeah, and then
Sega pioneered that
as well. Echo Dolphin, Daytona. Yeah, there was loads of good games. The original one of them, that was fantastic.
Oh man, Virtual Cop. I never had the guns. I would always have to play with the control. I had Virtua Fighter 1, 2. I had Virtual Cop 1, 2, and 3, and I would have to play them with the control. You have no idea how fast I was with that joystick to shoot those guys.
That is crazy. I used to love that because if I remember right, you shot at the screen, and then to reload, you had to pull the gun down off the screen.
Yeah. Oh, here. Okay. I have to disagree here. Echo was not the best game ever. Echo the Tides of Time was the best game ever, sir. The second one. And the soundtrack on that, man, I could just sit there and let the music run. But one of the best games ever played on a side-scrolling platformer, which a lot of people have not beaten, is Aladdin. Did you ever play Aladdin?
That was really good. The Disney games back then were great on the Genesis or Mega Drive.
Oh yeah, Aladdin, and Lion
King. The Castle of Illusion. That was so good.
God, that game was hard.
Yeah, good.
No, do you remember the original Magic Kingdom on the Nintendo with Mickey?
Don't remember.
God, that game was hard.
But Dom just says there, one of my favorite all-time games that was a side scroller was on the Super Nintendo, and it was Contra.
Contra.
Oh, that game was so good. Remake it how many times, and it's still nowhere near as good as the original.
Did you ever beat that without the codes? Without the Konami code?
So tough. So tough.
You know, it was one of. Do you remember they used to call them one-hit wonders for a reason? You got hit once and you were dead.
Games were hard back then. Today, when you think there's so much,
a whole catalog of games from my childhood I never beat because you get 3 lives and 1 hit.
Yeah, that was it. There was another game as well, and you were looking down, top down. It was actually an arcade game. I can't remember whether it came out on any of the consoles, called Gunsmoke. And it was a Western game. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, that
You know what games I used to love was the old raiding games, like the overhead ones with the starship with the airplanes. You would upgrade your weapons.
Thunder Force on the Genesis was great.
God, those are so good.
What else was it? Rolling Thunder. Do you remember Rolling Thunder? That was another good game as well.
Oh, Rolling Thunder. You know what ones I liked? I liked like Desert Strike with the Apache game.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was
really. Man, I used to love flying around with that Apache and killing everything. Oh, and then Pilot Wings on the Super Nintendo was so good.
Yeah, Pilot Wings was really good, and then Star Fox was really good.
Oh man, Star Fox. And then that game came out. The best Star Fox though was Star Fox 64.
Yes, I agree.
So good. Yeah, I remember the first time I was playing that, then it let you do the little barrel roll, and I was flying through the rings, going to kill Andros. Such a good game. Jungle Strike was good.
Yeah, Jungle Strike was really good. Really.
Jungle Strike and Desert Strike, they're both really
Remember
good.
Soul Reaver?
Yeah, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver.
Oh, yeah. Well, because somebody just put on there Castlevanias.
Oh, Castlevania. Castlevania and Resident Evil are my two most favorite franchises ever of all time.
Soul Reaver. Why they stopped making Soul Reaver, I do not know. That was such a good game. Loved it.
Star Wars X-Wing on GameCube. Yes, that was a good one.
On the SNES, the Super Star Wars games.
Dude, do you remember Star Wars on the Nintendo 64? It was so good.
Oh, the race. I remember the racing game.
No. Oh, Pod Racer was good. I love Pod Racer. I'm talking about the actual Star Wars game. And it would be like different parts of the game. And like, I remember you get to fly the A-Wing and you have to go wrap up the AT-AT or ATST's leg.
Yeah, I remember it now.
Like, it was missions.
Yes.
It was like, I think it was called Rogue
One. Was
it Rogue One? No, it wasn't Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue Squadron it was.
Rogue Squadron, yes. Oh, man, that game was so good. And I got to get a Nintendo 64 again.
Buy a Wii U and I'll show you how you can get it all.
I'll make a video about that.
Yeah.
Games that you own, though. You better only for the games you have the cartridges.
Of course, I have a massive catalog of Nintendo games. Massive. I just hide. Just hidden away. Just.
Oh goodness. All right, man. Nintendo. We're trying to call this a night. I gotta wrap up this video.
I know. I've got to do my whole head talk yet. Then I've got to edit it and have it ready.
Yeah, because the sucker's going live in the morning. So I'm glad I started before this, and I'm messing with that new intro that I showed you. I'm putting myself out on the limb with this one that I'm doing because it's completely out of the norm for my channel.
You'll get used to it.
Was it okay though? I mean, you thought it was all right?
I thought it was absolutely fine.
So we're gonna see tomorrow how well
Adam's got a new camera, people.
Oh, I do. Oh, yeah. I am in love with this thing. Did you see those pictures I posted of the BlackBerry Classic today?
Yes. Look very
I
nice.
have never had a tweet get so many likes in my life. It's got like 300 likes just because I put together these 4 pictures of a BlackBerry Classic that I took, but it looks brilliant.
Adam's moved on from cell phone to Sony A7 II, people.
This new A7 II camera with this prime lens that I got on here is 55 millimeter. 50 millimeter. I got the 50 millimeter. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It looks so good. Anyway, so this has been a lot of fun. This has been the most fun I've had in a long time. Yeah, it was great talking about the electronics, but man, I could sit here and talk about video games, computers for like ever and ever and ever. So thanks a whole lot for all you dedicated hardcore gamer computer people who stuck around tonight, because this is a good time.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
So
I really got to get my stuff done.
I do too. So we got to call it a night, but thanks a lot, guys. We'll catch you all on Twitter. We'll see you all next week. And thanks for the extended show tonight. We're almost at an hour and 40 minutes now, which is I'm getting old. I got a bedtime, man.
Oh, it's 10 past 10. How do you think I feel? Yeah, exactly.
You don't have much life left in you anyway. You need to stay up as long as you can.
Yeah, all right. Stay awake while you can, because you'll be a long time sleeping.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right, guys. We'll see y'all later. Thanks again.
See you later. Bye.